Not a concentration camp, like, it was a concentration camp.
It was a holding.
A holding, they decided
Wow.
they were going to get money from all of us, you know. And to get out, you had to pay.
Because lots of Jews
They
were
put us-
coming to Cuba.
They put us all into
In one
a
community.
camp, like a camp. And to get out,
This was in Cuba or
in Cuba,
In Cuba.
Havana, Cuba. We got there December, like the 20th of December.
That was when you first got there. They did that.
Yes, when we got off the boat,
Uh-huh.
they put us in a detention
center.
We called it
A camp.
a camp. And to get out, you had to pay.
Hey.
So we paid and we got out.
Oh my God.
And then we were in Cuba for a year and a half. I mean, a
You
year.
had enough money to pay and live for a year and a half without working?
And he didn't
Was
work.
that working? No.
Wow.
He didn't work for that year and a
Well,
half.
my father was
Wheeled and
a
dealed.
dealer. Became a
He
jeweler. He became a jeweler.
He wheeled and dealed everybody else's jewels. He was the best thing for survival.
Oh, amazing. Then we went
He
to
was
Mexico and he became
He
very
was the
successful.
American hustler before.
Not a hustler, he was honest.
No, but he knew how
He knew how
to
to make
find
business.
how to make a dollar.
He did.
No matter what the circumstances.
Wherever he was.
That's really
It
remarkable.
was amazing. He really was. He was
Not a good,
fooled around.
not a good
Not a good
father
father.
and
Well,
husband.
he wasn't
Well,
a bad father.
not a good family
He was
man,
an absent father
but he
and a
was
lousy husband.
wonderful at making ends meet.
Yes. And then we got to Mexico and he became very successful. In Mexico.
And how long you? Okay, so you finally got that second flight.
Wait,
6
how old were
months.
you at this time?
13,
15,
14,
Mexico?
14.
And your parents were how old?
In their late
How old were
30s.
they? They were not that old. They were, I don't
Probably-
know, they were born in 1902 and 1901. So how old were they? In 1941, they were 39.
38, 39, yeah.
My
Late
father was
30s.
born in 1902 and my mother was born 1902, my father 1901.
Okay.
So he was 40 and she was 39.
And so you got that flight, the
Then
second
we got
flight
the flight
finally
to Mexico.
to Mexico. And then you planned on just living there. You weren't.
Well, no.
He always had the
He
intention of
applied
getting
again.
USA
We went to the consulate, to American consulate, and
to
applied.
try to get in.
It took 5 years before
So
we
you
got
were
it.
5 years in Mexico
Almost 5
City.
years. Almost 5
And
years.
while you were there, did you go back to school there?
Yeah,
Did you go to school?
yeah, in
You were in
Mexico.
school in Cuba too?
I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
In Cuba, I didn't speak a word of Spanish.
Right.
But
But by the time you got
I
to
went to
Mexico,
Mexico, I
you
knew
already
what
were
was going on.
speaking.
So wait a minute. He became successful
Yes.
doing business in Mexico.
Yes.
So after he became successful, he still wanted to move into America.
US.
For what reason?
Just
Because he wanted to come to
Because
America.
that
He
was
just thought
the
there was
dream.
so much more opportunity
Yeah,
here.
he wanted to come to America. Then when he came to America,
He said,
went
let's
back
go to France.
He wanted to come to America.
It was
Well,
his
not
dream.
only that, we finally got the visa. When you finally get a visa
won.
that you've been waiting for
All these years.
all these years, you gotta take it. You just don't not
Stop,
take it.
right.
You take it.
But what was his business in Mexico?
In Mexico,
The
they have a
Reds
law.
or the-
This is interesting that you cannot do a business by yourself. You have to have a Mexican partner.
Oh.
And so he took a Mexican partner, and
Yeah.
he became. They made parfumerie. They made
Oh.
an entirely different. In France, he was in the schmarte business.
Right.
You know, we went.
Then he was in jewelry when
Then
he went
was
to
in
Cuba.
jewelry. Then in Mexico, he
Oh.
became into
Perfumes
perfume,
and women's
business, and it
accessories.
was very successful. And then we came. Then he gave it all up, and we came to here.
And he started again from scratch
Yeah.
with what? What is it? Or he didn't.
Carpet store.
Yeah, I was going to say, he did rugs. Wait, but he didn't do that. As soon as he got here, he wanted to go back to
as
France.
soon- when we got to Los Angeles, we bought a car and we drove to Miami. And then we put the car on the boat and we went to Cuba.
So
we went
as
to
soon
visit
as you
Cuba.
got to America, you like got moving. You
Yeah.
didn't stay in Los
No.
Angeles.
No.
He
We stayed
wanted
in
to
Los
go to
Angeles a few
Miami?
We drove through Texas.
Right,
drove
but
through-
did he have a dream of where he wanted to go in the
No.
US?
No,
But
then
he
we
saw
got to
the
Miami.
USA.
We got to Miami, and there was a boat that you put your car on the boat
And go to
and you
Europe.
go to Cuba. It's
Oh.
overnight.
Go back to Cuba?
Yeah,
You went back to
on
Cuba?
a visit. On a visit. We went on a visit.
That sounds so strange.
Why? Why is it strange?
Well, it's
What's
strange when you finally got to the USA.
He was a tourist.
He
Now he
didn't
had an
wanna-
American visa.
Oh,
now
so
we
he
were,
could go travel.
Now we could travel with an American visa.
He must have done really well in Mexico.
Yeah, he must have done really
He
well
did.
that he could afford
He
to
did
travel
very well
and not
in-
work.
Did very well in Mexico. My father did well everywhere. He was amazing.
Was he just such an amazing salesperson, or was
Businessman.
it he
A
just figured out the niche?
businessman. He could have done, I don't know, he could have been amazing.
Brilliant, yeah.
He was very bright, and very handsome, and a pain in the neck. But he was amazing.
And Nana just went along with whatever. She just kept schlepping along because this is what he wanted to
but
do.
then that was
It was like enough was enough.
enough was enough.
And she said, I want to settle down. And he's like, no, no, no. And he was,
She came back, and then he came a couple of years later. He came,
oh,
but not together.
Right,
They
because
were
she
divorced.
said, I'm going back.
Yeah.
And she came back with you.
Yes.
And then you settled in California, in Los Angeles.
Oh, but I settled in California. We came 4 times.
Oh,
So was he
my God.
supporting you guys?
I came 4 times before I met Dad.
No, I'm saying was your father supporting you and your mother?
My father said,
Yeah,
well, of
because
course he
they
was
didn't
a-
have any other
till I
resource.
married.
They didn't have another
Of
source.
course he
But he was
supported-
living in France.
No, you're not listening. You're
I'm
not
listening.
You're not listening. You're not following. You don't understand my language. I
Maybe.
say.
Okay.
I mean,
So he
you're
came-
completely off. When we got to Los Angeles
Yeah,
the first time,
Right,
he bought a car.
yeah.
And we drove.
Florida.
We didn't go to Florida. We
You went traveling and sightseeing.
and seeing America. And then we got to Florida. And
Right.
when we went to Florida, I said, let's go and visit Cuba. We went to Cuba for about a week or 10 days, I don't remember. And we came back. And then we came back to Los Angeles. He decided he liked Los Angeles. And then we went back to France in 48. And he got back with a couple of stores.
In south
Nice,
of France.
Nice and in
Back
Vichy.
where you were.
And he got
Right.
there was some kind of a thing that you could get back what you had lost.
Right.
And then we came back, then you get a re-entry, you get a green card.
Uh-huh.
And in the green card, you had to come every year.
To the
To
U.S.
To the U.S.
Or
So we came to California.
back and forth.
Because he had met
Right,
friends.
right.
And he wanted to come. So we came 4 times. When I met
Back
Dad,
and forth.
I told him, we're leaving in 2 months. And that's why we got married. Because I said,
I'm out of here. And the 4th time is when Nana said, I've had enough.
No, she went back with him.
Oh, right.
I stayed and got married.
Right.
And they 2 went back to France. A year later,
She came on
back.
her own. And then he finally came.
Right.
And your brother, he went to Cuba with you.
And
A
to
year
Mexico.
and a half, then to Mexico, and when you were going to leave, he said, I'm staying, or he had left
No,
before
I'm staying.
that.
I'm staying.
Oh, when you were
He would
leaving
not
Mexico, got the visa to come to the United States, he
He
said, I'm
no.
staying.
He had he
a
was
girlfriend?
no, an older woman that he wasn't
Uh-huh.
Madeline. He
Yeah.
was young. He was
Yeah.
21.
He was older than you,
Yes.
by 2 years, or?
No, it's 2 or 3 years.
Mhm.
And he stayed
and
because
he-
he stayed with
This woman, who was supporting him, or whatever.
whatever. Whatever. All I knew they
And
wouldn't come.
he and your father always were at
Each
odds They always had an issue.
They could never get along. They never.
But he was a nice guy. I mean, you had a relationship with him when you were kids? Or not really?
Not really. Not
He
really.
always was
He was
a little bit rebel.
Yeah,
He
totally,
was tough.
Totally. He didn't want to. He didn't get along with my father at all.
And so it was
Yeah,
always
my
rough.
father was tough
difficult.
to get along.
But he got along with Nana?
Not really, but
Yeah, more so.
You don't get divorced in those days. She
Right.
got divorced after she lived here for a while and realized,
Yeah,
you know,
enough.
you know. So that's it. Once we got to Cuba, we were safe, you know.
Right, right.
Getting out was the big
The
problem.
scary part. So he did it just in the nick of time. He just took care of that, like, let's do it, we're going now. And
you know
left
who
so
Ringel
much.
was?
Yes.
Isaac Ringel.
Bilac's father-in-law.
Exactly.
Yeah.
His daughter married Bilac.
Right.
And thanks to him, we left. Because if he hadn't said to my
Father.
father, you could buy a visa
Right.
there, maybe
You would wait
who knows?
another couple months and it would be too
So
late.
my father was always very thankful to him
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
that. And
Because
he became extremely successful in Mexico.
in Mexico, they stayed there, but then they finally moved here to the
Yes.
States.
Yes.
So you were with them in Cuba?
And
You were
in-
on the same boat with them in Cuba?
No,
And then
no.
or they gone on
No.
another boat?
I don't remember, frankly, I don't remember him on the boat.
But
I remember him from
reacquainted
Cuba.
in
Cuba
and
and
Mexico.
he may have been on
Another boat,
a
right.
previous to us.
Or maybe he was on the boat in Mexico and didn't miss the plane to Mexico.
No, we didn't. We went
Together.
Together.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention.
You didn't
I
realize
was
that,
a little.
yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. Wow.
Now you understand?
I understand.
Wow.
Okay.
And it was just your immediate, just the four of you that got
That's
out.
it. That's
Did
it.
you have lots of cousins?
No. See, my parents, my parents' parents.
Yeah.
I never met them. They were all dead. They were dead.
Oh my gosh, before you
But-
were really
They all
aware.
died very young. People used to die at 40.
But didn't they have, neither Nana or Grandpa had siblings with
I never met any of them.
nieces and nephews or anything?
He had a sister in New York.
Oh, how'd she get there?
I don't know, but I met
Yeah.
the sister in New York.
Uh-huh.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
A big fat lady, nothing like my father.
Mhm.
He was different. You never saw a picture of him? You never met
Yes,
my
honey.
father?
No, he never met him, Mom.
Really?
But I have a picture of Nana and Papa. I gotta show you. I'm
Yeah.
gonna bring it down. I have a picture that I have on my bookshelf.
I gotta go. Oh, I'm not feeling well yet. Oh, God.
Takes a while.
Takes a while, I tell you. Amazing. That cruise. Now, I belong to a traveling group, and they're talking about a cruise to go to San Francisco on a princess. I said, don't count me in. I'm done
Your
with
princess dad.
I'm done with the princess. That's
Do you
right.
need
That's a
glasses?
niece.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
She looks so chic.
she was.
Oh,
She was
so chic.
so chic and so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And he was gorgeous. You didn't know him when he was
No, when he was
He
young.
was handsome, very handsome.
Let me see.
And she was too. She was
Gorgeous,
beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, her I've seen a lot of pictures of. I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever seen a picture of him.
Isn't that funny? You mean by the time you got married,
Oh.
they were both gone?
Both gone.
Both gone.
'Cause